Well, several role players, including the country's traditional leaders, have joined hands with government to build trust in vaccines. But to discuss what traditional leaders are doing to promote vaccines, we are joined now by Chief Mwelo Nonkonyana. He's the Eastern Cape Contralesa chairperson. Chief, thank you so much for joining us. A good morning to you. We really felt it was important to have a discussion with traditional leaders, especially because you really are able to reach some of our far-flung communities and speak directly to them. What do you think your responsibility really is in communicating the message of vaccination?
Well, as you correctly point out, I must start with saying royal greetings to you and all your viewers. As Contralesa, we are concerned about the welfare of our people. As Contralesa, we have got a trust in our government. And we did engage the government to make sure that the vaccine is not going to harm any of the people in South Africa. But we are aware that many people, especially in rural areas, have not vaccinated, particularly because, one, the government is actually having these points of vaccination in towns far away from the people. That's the point that we have raised. Secondly, the government has also issued not a clear message. It says, well, it is voluntarily. And as you may know, there are many theories going around this issue of vaccination. And again, the other concern is that we as traditional leaders, we have a duty to convene DPs or MBs or the community gathering to explain to the people. But because of the lockdown, we are prohibited to have those gatherings. So clearly, therefore, we cannot be able to use and to utilize that to convey a clear message so that the people can clearly understand. Because prevention to us is better than cure, right. But we would like to make sure that whatever is being given to our people is really going to help them rather than harm them.
Yeah, should we maybe go straight to the root of the problem here, right? When you speak to communities that are specifically rural communities, what are some of their fears around the vaccine, and do they differ between men and women?
Oh, well, they differ. As you know, you women, you are first. But men always think and of course, we're afraid of even the needle, as you know. And clearly that we can give you credit. But as men, no. They are asking questions. For instance, other men says, well, until you, Chief, call an Imbizo and explain clearly to us, we're not going to be part of this. Yeah. You see, this is what we're actually being confronted with on the ground. And yet there are also other, when the government says, well, it's voluntarily, you find that there are other people from the government messages to say, well, we are not going to get social benefits. We are not going to get this and that. We are not going to be admitted in hospitals. And yet the government says it's voluntarily. And that also convey another message to the people. Why, if it's voluntarily, why are we coerced or forced in this way? Hence, I'm saying, these are the messages that are not clear-cut. And the other question, they say, well, if I'm vaccinated, why must I continue to wear a mask? Why must I wash my hands and things like that? And we have to explain, but we don't have that platform to explain clearly to them. And again, there's also the issue of traditional medicine. And what is going to happen? Because many of our traditional communities, and we do have traditional practitioners as well. And we need to sit down with them and clearly understand and find out what are they contributing to this. And again, we don't have that platform because the lockdown regulations are actually very clear that we cannot have that gathering. Only gathering that is there is funeral. It's only on the funeral but in the funeral we have got 5 minutes, and you cannot explain anything.
So let me ask you this then. What is it that you want to see government do? I mean, there's a big discussion right now around government simply not doing enough to communicate around the efficacy of vaccines and just to speak to communities, really, to encourage them to vaccinate. So as traditional leaders who can reach people exactly where they are, where is government failing? What do you want to see?
Well, it is around the mixed messages. And the government actually sitting with us. You know, it has been unfortunate. When this lockdown was actually announced, we were called as traditional leaders after the government has already decided. Yet we thought that we would be able to really advise the government what need to do as pertaining to the traditional communities, because we know them better. And hence, we continue engaging. Fortunately, in the Eastern Cape, I'm sure in all other provinces, we are actually being involved by premiers to discuss. But when you go down at the district, municipal level, at local level, you don't see that constant engagement on the ground. We also agreed that at the local level, we must have also task teams there. They are not non-existent because of this tension between councillors and traditional leaders and lack of clarity with local municipalities. Hence, we would love that the government let us sit and really decide and have a plan for rural areas, because even now, our people are actually called to go to town for these 350, and there's no social distances there. So, in other words, we are controlling in the rural traditional communities. But in urban areas, the government is doing the other thing.
Yeah. You know, Chief, you've certainly given us a lot to think about, and I think some clear direction as well on where government should be going. We do appreciate your time there, Chief Mwelo Nonkonyana from Contralesa.